Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's May 22nd, 2017. Earlier today, I put out a video on the significance of Donald Trump being in Israel on this specific day and tomorrow, and then him traveling to the Vatican. Just 2 days earlier, he had been in Saudi Arabia. If you're not aware, on September 11th, 2001, the U.S. mainstream media told the American people two things. One, the hijackers who attacked the World Trade Center's Pentagon, they were from Saudi Arabia, which is our ally in the United States. We give that country a lot of money. Some people call it the 51st state. Also, we were told in our own media that men were arrested in New Jersey, and the details didn't come out September 11th, but they didn't come out that much long after. But these men arrested in New Jersey were sent to the United States from Israel to document the attack, meaning people from Israel, sent there by the nation of Israel, had foreknowledge of September 11th and were recording from New Jersey and then even celebrating after it happened. Israel. People also joke and call Israel the 51st state, and we send them a lot of money. If you do not know the history of Israel, where Donald Trump is, who people are jokingly calling the first Jewish president because all of his children, except for little Barron, have married into Jewish families. Headlines this year after he was selected, Donald Trump, first Jewish president, like how they used to call Bill Clinton the first black president. And remember, Bill Clinton was number 42, like Jackie wore 42. If you're new here, check out my work on Black history and the number 42, and the overall larger relevance of 42. Anyhow, not to get off subject, here we are, May 22nd, 2017, Donald Trump on the September 11th Remembrance Tour, going to our allies who were clearly the people responsible for the attack. You know, there's still no word on why we went to Afghanistan or Iraq, really. Weapons of mass destruction that weren't there? Doesn't really make sense. Osama bin Laden from one of the wealthiest oil families in the world from Saudi Arabia. And supposedly George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st president, was visiting with the bin Laden family when the attacks were happening. Look it up. I'm not making up any of this. If any of this is news to you, look it up because the information's all been out there since the days after September 11, 2001. But anyway, here we are on the 9/11 Remembrance Tour. Since 2013, I've been educating people of the world about how these false flags are scripted, theatrical performances meant to scare the people of the world into thinking they need Big Brother to protect them and that wars need to be had to stop this radical Islam, which I'm sure this will be blamed on. ISIS, they're bringing back Al-Qaeda. Every now and then they'll give us the homegrown terrorist inspired by ISIS. You know, it could be one of those. I'm not saying join ISIS, but if you want to do some research, see if you can even figure out how you would ever join ISIS online. At their Twitter? Why does Twitter let ISIS have a Twitter account? This stuff is all a joke, and the people who put out this information, they don't expect anybody to ever question it or think twice about it, and that's why they get away with these false flags, which is what I'm about to expose that this is. This is what a false flag is, where a nation's own government, and this goes on all around the world, a false flag is where a nation's government scares its own people with a terrorist attack, a shooting, a stabbing, a bomb going off. Well, what we have today, this is a false flag where the government stages something to scare people. And when they do this, they often run it just like a movie scene. These are things I've been covering since 2013. Your own mainstream media has showed you how there's an entire industry about simulating war and terrorism that's run by former military. And look at what we have in all of these false flag incidents. How often is the person former military? There's a reason. You know, maybe some of these people are even willing to shame their own name if the government agrees to take care of them in the end. You know, go through the shaming ritual, be the stooge, but then we got you afterwards. There's a million different ways they could be doing this. They're the authority. They control, they make the rules, they got the money. You know, we're living in their world. This is how the New World Order operates, what I'm about to show you. So I have this long-winded introduction because so many people think my work's crazy, and the only reason that is because they haven't taken the time to verify what I've proven going back to 2013. And I'm going to prove it again, you know, for the 15,000th time over at least. So British police, 19 dead at Ariana Grande concert. I've been waiting for them to put out the number because the number's always a signal. And 19 represents chaos, which we're going to get to. All mainstream media is reporting 19 dead. This number could change as the story progresses, but there's a reason they're coming out with 19. This is a signal number. So look, today is May 22nd, which is the 142nd day of the year, and I meant to put that up on the screen, but I just want you to see that May 22nd is the 142nd day of the year, leaving 223 days remaining. So, right away, why is that interesting? The word terrorist in gematria sums to 142. They said on September 11th, the terrorist attack lasted 1 hour, 42 minutes. And now each year on September 11th, they have an oculus that opens for 1 hour and 42 minutes. Terrorist, 142. This is the language of gematria, important to Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, that God created the world with language when God merged the letter with the number. And no matter what you think about that, understand this is a real practice. This is important to Freemasonry, which has its Grand Lodge, the Scottish Rite does, of 1717 in England, just before the establishment of the United States of America by many Masons with connections to the UK and France, two Masonic nations. So understand this code, important to Jewish mysticism, important to Freemasonry in high places. Albert Pike, 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, the headquarters of Scottish Rite Freemasonry in Washington, D.C., where the federal government headquarters are. Albert Pike, the only Confederate war general with a statue in Washington, D.C., has Morals and Dogma, the book he wrote under his arm, where he said Masonry owes all of its secrets and symbolism to Kabbalah. And again, Kabbalah, where this gematria is relevant. And the people in the high places, this is how they're operating. This is how they built the English language. The English language is built on this system. If you're new here, go through my videos. You'll appreciate it. But now let's get to this. May 22nd, the 142nd day of the year. Let me also very quickly tell you about 223. For my viewers who are here, they've heard me talk about this number thousands of times. Let's start in Jewish gematria with 223. Masonic sums to 223. This is a very significant number, 223. In the Bible, it says the false Jews, the synagogue. Got to spell correctly in gematria. Oh no, I see what's wrong. The synagogue of Satan will rule in the end times. 223 in English ordinal. This is the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z is 26. The synagogue of Satan, 223. The false Jews. In the Torah, the Jewish people aren't to have a holy state. Israel, the Jewish state, forbidden. False Jews. In Revelation, the final book of the Bible, says the false Jews who rule in the end times will be the synagogue of Satan. And that's written to a letter, the Church of Philadelphia. Philadelphia, who receives this letter about the synagogue of Satan. Notice Philadelphia 223. And notice the 61 and 101 as well. I just want you to better understand the significance of gematria and how relevant this is to the world, as so many of us, especially as Americans, people from the UK, understand it. English-speaking, Christian-raised, our language, our religion, it's all built into this. It's huge. I have so many topics on this. I'm going to have thousands of videos, thousands of blog posts. But look at 61 and 101. Watch this. Notice the gematria of church. 61 and 101. It's a letter written to the Church of Philadelphia about the synagogue of Satan. One more time, I want to go back to Philadelphia. Notice the 65 as well. I want you to see the word Christian. Or excuse me, Christianity is what I want you to see. The religion, Christianity. And there's something called the S exception, or what on this calculator is called the single reduction. That's where S is worth 10. In single reduction, Christianity 74. Remember this. Jesus using the alphabetic order 74. Jesus' name in the Bible is Yeshua, which in Jewish gematria is 704. Lose the zero because zero doesn't count. In fact, in the Jewish faith, they write God, G-D. G's the 7th letter. O's like a hyphen, it doesn't count. D's the 4th. God, Yeshua. So anyway, cross using the alphabetic order, 74, just like Jesus. The English translation of Jesus is Joshua, like Masonic, like gospel. You see? Special number. If you write English, it sums to 74, just like if you write gematria. And, you know, think about this city. Think about the clock, Big Ben. Big Ben, 39. If you missed my work on Brexit and how the terrorist attack on March 22nd in London, speaking of 22/3, if you missed how it was 39 weeks after the Brexit vote, how it's all clockwork. Just in case you're new here, I'm throwing out a lot of information, but I'm trying to let you know, this language, it's based on a code that has a lot to do with this world, the mathematics of the relation to the earth, to the sun, the moon, 39 books, and the Old Testament has a lot to do with the Bible and what the numbers in the Bible are all about. Huge topic. But again, I have lots of videos to go back and look. We started with 223, you know, Masonic in Jewish gematria. Think about this phrase. The Masons are builders. Measure twice, cut once. 223. And this reminds you, Freemasonry is not all bad. This is knowledge, and some people are using it for evil to stage false fear, terror in the world. So anyway, I hope I'm making sense. I'm just giving you bits and pieces. I have a book that's nearly finished. It's the complete picture explained at the pace you can read it, instead of me talking too fast sometimes. And, you know, in a logical order, so you can just, you know, I just try to build it logically, so you can put it together piece by piece, understand the full foundation. There's so much to appreciate here. Alphabetic order, 74. We just talked about English, gematria, 74. I mean, here in the U.S. real quick, just holiday, 74. Independence Day, 74. July 4th in the U.S. And there's just so much more. I could just go on all day. But anyway, big numbers, ritualistic numbers. We talked about Jesus and cross, even 74. The World Trade Centers, to get us back on track, were on the 74th meridian in New York. Construction began in 68. They came down 33 years later. 2001, very special number in the Bible. Bible 33, Jesus lived to be 33. This number used again and again in Masonry in false flag terrorism as a sacrifice for a cause. See, it's sick though. It's a sick joke. But you can see the parallel. And 33, again, just so relevant to who Jesus is in the Bible. God's Son 33, you know. There's the Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah 33. Whole lot more. Just a short list there. But now let's get to the topic. Huge introduction. Because I want people to know. I mean, people need to see what's going on, what this is all about today in the world. I'm hoping people who've never seen my work are showing up here, wondering why there's a bomb going off at their sports game. I'm going to show you why. Or I guess tonight it's the Ariana Grande concert, but you know, their sports stadium. May 22nd, 2017, today's date with 44 numerology. 44, very special number, very significant number to military agenda and death and destruction. If we get on this calculator, let me shrink this down here. It can be overwhelming to look at all these ciphers. And I don't want you to think that I'm cherry picking. This is really not cherry picking. This language is just so relevant. Before I fill you in on what I want to show you here about 44. Just one more lesson in case you are new here. We people have 33 vertebrae in our back. The word people equals 33. The word person equals 33. The word society equals 33. The word nervous equals 33. The word order 33. Special number. Masonry 33. Secrecy 33. Police 33. I have a video on the movie Filth, which has English ordinal gematria 55, about police and Freemasonry and staging things and keeping secrets and causing all sorts of mayhem in their way. This movie came out on the 55-year anniversary of the birth of the writer of the novel that became the film, Irvine Welsh. Filth on his 55th birthday in Scotland, where he's from, and we are talking about Scottish Rite Freemasonry. We're going to get to the number 113 later, so remember that. And maybe we should just do this real quick too. Did you notice that Scottish was also 32? So was America, 7/4/1776, date with 32 numerology, like Jerusalem. Special degree, 32, right before you get to 33, the top. And what it's all about in Masonry, where they get it from, is knowledge traveling up the man to enlighten the mind. And look at this. The word skull equals 33. Lots of skull symbolism in Masonry. Think about the Masonic order, Skull and Bones. By the way, George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st president, Skull and Bones 41. His son, the 43rd president. His other son, the 43rd governor of Florida. He was the 43rd vice president to Ronald Reagan. You know? Just to understand this number code. No coincidence. And also, what it's all about traveling up your spine and reaching in your brain is your mind's eye, which is also pineal. The pineal gland. 33. So anyway, this false flag terrorism, this knowledge encoded, this is the way they're operating, by this code. Intimidating the world through ancient knowledge, and you know what? I got to give it to them because the majority of humanity is not seeing through it when it should be obvious. But look at this. Today's date has 44 numerology, 64 numerology, the Manchester Arena where it happened. Let's just do 44 and 64. And a lot of these are going to come together. These numbers have a relationship. Notice that military sums to 44. This is a military agenda. Here in the United States, at the Pentagon, we have a 44-year veteran of the Marines named Mad Dog. Mad Dog, 44. By the way, notice the 44 and the 118. Occult magic that's for the negative is called magic with a K at the end. 44 and 118. Just like Mad Dog, the 44-year veteran of the Marines, who's now the head of the Pentagon, the military department in the U.S., Military 44. And look at the title Secretary of Defense, which he holds, gematria of 193 with the alphabetic order. That's the 44th prime number. Prime number relationships, huge. How well thought out this language is. But anyhow, 44 connects to so many things. Soldier 44, infantry 44. If you spell right. Spelling is so crucial. Infantry 44. And a lot of these have overlaps in the other one too. Kill forces 44. Execution 44. Genocide 44. Militaries have been used all throughout history to wage genocide. Number connected to death and destruction is the point. Today's date has that numerology. And again, we see these numbers come up. Earlier today, when I put out the video about Trump being in Israel for Jerusalem Day, just one more time. Donald Trump in Israel. Donald Trump's the 45th president, but only the 44th person to be president. Israel 44. It's the Zionist nation. Zion has the gematria of 44. Netanyahu, the leader, gematria 44. He's there for Jerusalem Day, 44. Today he visited the Western Wall, one of the most holy sites in Israel. And are you noticing how often 64 is coming up as I'm showing you the 44s? Again, these systems are interrelated. They're all based on the alphabetic order forwards and back. I have videos teaching how the systems work. Think about how Donald Trump ran on building a wall. He's in Israel for Jerusalem Day as the 44th person to ever be the president of the country. One more time as well. Jerusalem, gematria of 58, just like United States has gematria of 58. Just like Freemasonry has gematria of 58. Freemasonry, all based in Jewish history. Kabbalah. Secret Society, 58. It all goes back to Solomon's Temple, 58. Herod's Temple, also 58. The destruction of the two temples known as Tisha B'Av, which I taught about earlier today. So anyway, these numbers, they're not arbitrary. The chessboard pattern or the checkerboard pattern on Masonic lodges comes from Solomon's Temple. Notice chessboard's 58. This goes back to Israel, where Trump is today. And on the chessboard or the checkerboard, there's 64 spaces. Again, Israel, also 64. Zion, 64. So cult religion, Thelema, which has a lot to do with Israel, 64. In the Bible, it says they're the synagogue of Satan, who will rule in the end times. If you leave off the synagogue of Satan is 64 as well. The false Jews said to rule in the end times. In the Revelation, the warnings are trumpets. We have the Trump-Pence ticket, you know? Trump-Pence. So, today's date numerology, 44, 64. Israel also has 37 gematria, also connecting to today's date. And there's this 19 numerology. And I wrote this article, I added this in later about the 19 dead. I was just waiting to see what number they'd report. I was already on the chaos thing. They do this all the time. Watch my older videos. Talked about this same thing. 19 date numerology, staged chaos. And then, like clockwork, the initial reporting, and let's see if it's changed. It often changes over the course of the hours after the news comes out. Right now, they're sticking with 19 dead, 50 injured. Okay, so 19, today's date numerology matching the gematria. This is how it's coded. This is the riddle to understand. This is the language that this madness is being woven in. It's not arbitrary what these people do. With regards to today's date having 64 numerology, it's Manchester Arena where the bomb went off, 64. The British police, the article says, is who are giving the response. Interesting how Manchester Arena and British police are a match. This could literally be the reason that they chose to do it, for this festive reason. And remember, this number has a lot to do with the Catholic Church. There's a lot of Catholic police departments. The Catholics have the Jesuits within them. Catholic sums to 145. We just saw that very Catholic, symbolic NFL pick. Mr. Jake Butt, see my video on that. Right after the Michigan coach was visiting the Catholic Church and the Pope, the 145th pick of the draft was a player who fell way down that was one of his star players. He went number 145 to the Mile High City. You know, your sports world's scripted this way too. And here we are at a sports stadium. No surprise. But here's where it starts to get really interesting. It was supposed to be Ariana Grande performing when this happened. Her name in gematria, the 57 stands out right away. Because this happened in England, 57. Notice England's also 33. That number we talked about that's so significant. Scottish Rite, 57. George Washington, 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, first recognized president, Scottish Rite Freemasonry, Washington, D.C., all in the same spot. His name was George, inaugurated at 57, just like 4 of the first 5 presidents. And let's just remind, George Washington, 187 alphabet forwards, Washington, D.C., 187 in reverse. In Washington, D.C. is the ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry headquarters, 187. This year, Donald Trump's GOP convention, and look how easy this stuff is to verify. Sometimes I like to do this real time just to show you guys how easy it is. Trump's convention began July 18th, 2016 in Cleveland. He was inaugurated January 20th, 2017. A span of 187 days later. You know, start date 18/7, as they'd write it in most parts, and then 187 days later, he's in Washington, D.C. Now he's going to meet with Pope Francis. Get this, from Donald Trump's birthday to Pope Francis's birthday. From that direction, it's 153 days. If you go from the other way, from Pope Francis to... Oh, I know what's wrong. Wait, that's what it is. Okay. Had the wrong numbers up there. There it is. Donald Trump's birthday is June 14th, 2000. Well, this would just be true in any given year. Donald Trump's birthday is June 14th. Pope Francis's birthday is December 17th. They're both members of the Jesuit order, and their birthdays are 187 days apart. Now look at this. The Society of Jesus, the official name of the Jesuit order, 187. And where Washington, D.C. is, the original home of the Catholic colony. D.C. is between Virginia and Maryland. Virgin Mary. You see? So, her name, 57, connects to Scottish Rite, entertainer, rock star, England. 78, record spin at 78 revolutions per minute. Scottish Rite is also 78. This is a typo. It should be Scottish Rite. Just show you real quick. But the big number for Ariana Grande that really pops out is the 93. 93 is the number that represents Saturn, the keeper of time. The sun's 93 million miles away, the true keeper of time. She's coming up on her 24th birthday. The sun equals 24, 24 hours in a day. And the eye symbolism that we're so familiar with, what it represents often is the sun. You know, what's always above us, what's making life possible. We're all living under the sun. She's coming up on her 24th birthday, Ariana Grande. She's got the 93 name gematria, and she's even born in 93. Born in the summer, at the start of Cancer, which has the gematria of 44 where we began. I forgot to mention also, with regards to today's 44 numerology, the name Ariana alone, alphabetic order, 44 and 118. And I meant to make that point earlier because we talked about magic, you know, and Mad Dog. You see? Using occult knowledge. Did you guys know that the Pentagon's 77 feet tall and it's on the 77th meridian? In the UK, think about your 7/7 bombings in 2005. 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5, 7. Your 777 date. But anyway, Ariana has that 44 connection as well as 118. Like magic. And isn't this girl for young children? Isn't that who most of her fans are? But a lot is interesting in her name. We've already covered so much I don't want to overwhelm, but out of all these numbers, 2 to know, 118 represents death, and 113, important to Scottish, as in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, and also dishonesty within the mainstream. In the Talmud, it says it's okay for people who are Jewish to lie to people who aren't, as long as it's in a legal setting, which is pretty much everywhere we live in this world. Her birth name is Ariana Grande Butera, which I noticed sums to 119, like all-seeing eye. And her upcoming 24th birthday is in 35 days, just like the word I. You know? This is all about programming the mind's eye of the masses. So this comes again on the same day Donald Trump is in Israel, Saudi Arabia, who we just visited. Saudi Arabia first, then Israel. I just got to tell you this real quick. Saudi Arabia has gematria 41, like USA, like Al-Qaeda. They're all 41. 41's the 13th prime number. Think about the USA, the 13 stripes, the 13 colonies. 9/11/2001 was 9 plus 11 plus 20 plus 01 equals 41. You see? All rituals and numbers. Explosion at Manchester. Arena and everyone ran out so scary. So I'll link below the CNN news article. And if you come here, you can watch this short video. It's only 12 seconds. But what I want you to watch is all these people are evacuating in this back section. And this girl right here, looks like a young girl, she's just staring at her phone the whole time. I mean, if this is such a tragic scene over here, how can this girl who's not, you know, she can't be all that far away. It's not like we're all blurry back here. She's clearly in focus. It can't be that big of a deal. And what I would imagine is, if anyone's ever been to a sports game, you'll hear like they'll pay tribute. They say, this section's sponsored by this, and this whole group's here representing tonight, and the whole section will cheer. Imagine if long ago the government, since they're doing this, reserved that section for this special group tonight, whoever they are, that are there to help simulate this false flag. This is what a false flag is. People come and say, oh, it's just a hoax. I'm not here to squabble over what the difference is between a hoax and a false flag. The point is, we're being deceived. We're being scared into needless war. We're wasting. It's just a complete waste. And people need to wake up, and we need to stop participating in the tyranny by handing over our tax dollars as if we're slaves to tyrants. Because that's what we're doing across this world. It's what pays for all of this. Your work, your tax dollars. But here's that list of 57. England, Scottish Rite, Ariana Grande, rock star, entertainer. Concerts are ripe for false flags. We've seen this before. Concert 33, false flag 33, masonry 33, secrecy 33, police 33. The police notified people through Facebook. And down below it talks about how a police officer also used Twitter. I mean, doesn't this just seem like it's marketing for these companies? Oh, it's just... Remember, about a year and a half ago, I covered the story where in the morning time, the founder of Twitter, Jack Dempsey, I think that's his name, and Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook were meeting with the FBI about how to help combat ISIS recruiting teens on social media, something like this. And it's thinking like, well, based on how quickly they banned people's accounts for putting out the truth, I don't see why they couldn't shut ISIS down already. But anyway, later that same day, that evening, the headlines were ISIS had issued death threats for the, Jack Dempsey or whatever his name is and Mark Zuckerberg. It's just such a joke, you guys. But anyway, Facebook has that gematria of 58 like Freemasonry. Talked about how significant this number is. Donald Trump, the winner of the 58th presidential election, announced he was running from his 58-story Trump Tower. Spare you some numbers. You see tweets like this that they put in the mainstream articles. Susanna. I mean, where did they find this person's tweet? Something's up. Plenty of emergency services about now. Rather than bore you with all of these numbers, just pay attention to these tweets. And if you do run the code, you'll just see how often the tweet times and the retweets, it's just... seems beyond coincidence. Sam, a name with 33 gematria. I mean, I get bored of decoding these all the time. Sam 33, Ward 47, of course, like the Freemason compass, 47 degrees. They have the 47th problem of Euclid, foundation, policeman's 47, special number, authority. We could look into who this Jeremy Corbyn is. There's always more, Truth Seeker. This is just the introductory on the information that's out right now. But as you follow the propaganda trail they leave, you'll see. They might even start putting these numbers in front of you. On behalf of the kingdom, I would like to say our thoughts and prayers go out to all those who were at Ariana Grande concert in Manchester. Posted at 4:14. And I mean, just right there, the kingdom 47. After our little tweet from Sam Ward. Guess we could see what Ward is alone, too. 62 like Mason. Here we are under the Mason. May 23rd. The most ritualistic Masonic date on the calendar. In case you didn't know, Gregorian equals 58, like calendar, like Freemasonry, special number. Created by the Catholic Church, surely the Jesuits within. And think about how ridiculous our calendar is. Why did we switch from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar? Doesn't make any sense. You know? It used to be New Year's was at the spring solstice, when things start to bloom. New again. New year. Rebirth. But then we moved it back to the dead of winter. We moved the beginning to the end. And we went through all this trouble to do it. And now we go through all this trouble to do daylight savings time, which throws everybody out of sync. You know what I really think it is? I think this is how we got so deep in the game that people can't see through the lies and the obvious propaganda. And I mean, just, well, they changed the picture. Hold on, I captured it though. I want to show you this. CNN had this up on the front page, and it just took me right back to the Boston Marathon bombing. You know, woman's pants frayed, but you don't see any, like, blood. I mean, if her clothes got ripped away, we should see some burning or some blood here. Just a staged, manufactured scene with the police participating. And who knows if these are, or I guess here we have firemen. But, I mean, sometimes I even wonder if these are real first responders, police and fire, if they're just people stuck in there for the shot. Then again, these police departments, these fire departments, Freemasonry is rampant. And it's not to say that all Freemasons are bad, but there's enough participating in the scheme that it needs to be known, you know. So I went way overboard. Apologies if you think I'm long-winded. It's just people show up here who've never seen my work every time and talk about how I need to get on my meds and how this is the stupidest thing they ever saw. And it's too bad because it keeps getting done again and again and again. And look, just on March 22nd, again, we were talking about 22/3. March 22nd, they had this helicopter parked in front of the scene, London Freemasons. They got the Freemason compass and square, each leg kicked out at 23.5 degrees, like 23/5 for May 23rd, which is the 130 or 143rd day of the year. Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, 143, 143rd day of the year. Read this backwards, 523, as we write May 23rd in the U.S. But this is who's definitely doing it, you guys. And this is who needs to be ousted. Helicopter also has that gematria of 57. You know, Scottish Rite, Lodge of 1717. Hey, why 1717, by the way? Mason 17. Mason 62. Mason. Mason. Remember, May 42, like Freemason 42. For one more good 42, we talked about Freemasonry and 33. Look at the word vertebrae. Vertebrae, 42. Also 147, just like Freemason, just like conspiracy, just like 50 states, just like 4th of July. And again, France, their Independence Day, Bastille Day, 14/7. Whole lot more. 4th of July, 57, Scottish Rite. George Washington, 74. There's 147 windows at the White House. You know that? 147. U.S. President, 147. President of the United States, 147. This is just the encore performance. It could go on all night, but I got to finish the book. The world needs this book, Truth Seeker. I got to finish. It's just, here we go. A major false flag, a stadium attack. May 22nd, the eve of May 23rd. We could get another one tomorrow. Sometimes they like to put these in a series. This is a really special time in the calendar year. Yeah, Truth Seeker. That's it for now. Until next time.